Hello, 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 hello. Hour number 3 of the line. Currently looking at the White House press briefing room. The White House's briefing as Trump weighs expanding operations in Iran. He said himself he's not taking anything off the table, including ground troops. Now, that could just be Donald Trump, being smart and not telling Iran that I'm not willing to do X, Y, and Z. But also, we're in a position where we're holding all the cards, right? We are on our 4th or 5th consecutive day of just bombing the ish out of everything on the coast there near the Strait of Hormuz. Which is what before they even started doing this, is what I suggested be done. Y'all heard me. I said just everything within a 5-mile radius of the coast, just blow it up. And so that's what they've been doing, completely eliminating Iran's ability to attack cargo ships. And even I think there was one ship, Iranian ship, that was headed to Karg Island in the Persian Gulf. And they dropped a Hellfire missile right in the smokestack of that bad boy and disabled it. And so they're, listen, it's messy and it's complicated. Everybody wants to act like this is so simple that you can just do this or this. But there is a procedure going on here that is all leading up, hopefully, to a diplomatic end. There was a great podcast that just came out with a Joe Rogan podcast. He had J.D. Vance on. I think that dropped yesterday. And J.D. Vance talked a lot about it. And he kind of explained, for the first time, what's going on in Iran in a way that I think gives you some insight on the thinking within the Oval Office or within the Situation Room. So go watch that if you got time. Don't watch it during our podcast tonight, though. We want to see you on our podcast. We're working on getting those numbers up. We got so many listeners on this radio station and on this radio show. If we can get maybe 30% of y'all to come on over and hang out with us tonight, that would be awesome.
Because it's nonstop fun, man.
It is. Plus, John Burt's going to play tiptoe through the organs.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
Tiptoe through the tulips. And
on my new ukulele.
You don't want to miss that. Just go to YouTube, look up Over the Line, Andrew Mclain. Trump's speech tonight, as I noted before we went to break, we're going to carry it here on 99.5, 8 o'clock sharp. So make sure you're around for that. We'll be done with our stuff by then, so we won't be interfering with that. But yeah, you can, if you're on the road or you're at home and you can't watch it on TV, we got you covered, man. It's what we do here at 99.5. We got it all for you, baby. We got it all for you. Noto Roofing, NOTOroofing.com, NOTOroofing.com. Get with these guys. Get your free roof inspection, complimentary roof tune-up. Here's the number, 205-848-2299. Just talked to my boy Chris yesterday. He's actually down at the beach for a few days, unwinding, but they got a whole team of people that are on top of it. So you ain't got to worry. You ain't got to worry, man. They got the best of the best people. Remember, there's no obligation, no strings attached. This is not I'm going to trick you and get you to where you have to make repairs. You don't have to. It's your choice, but the inspection and the tune-up is free. It's absolutely free. So call them, get that done, and then you can decide what you want to do after that. 205-848-2299. Online, NOTOroofing.com. NOTOroofing.com. So this imam, John Bird, an imam is kind of like a, what would you call it?
It's who raises you. It's who you love. Your mom.
Not your mom. It's an imam, which is a kind of
electronic mother?
No. That is a Muslim, mosque leader, pastor, if you will.
Oh, okay.
And he was invited by Nancy Pelosi to do the opening prayer in the House of Representatives back during Joe Biden's term. I don't remember what year this was. And he is now back in the news because there is a formal rebuke that's going to be voted on in the House over comments he made celebrating the news of the death of Lindsey Graham. The left never ceases to always go too far with it. And yes, this guy is part of the left. Celebrating the death of Republicans has just become commonplace for the left. I mean, we saw the exact same thing play out following the murder of Charlie Kirk. We've seen it multiple times. They don't even try to hide it. They gleefully celebrate the death of their political adversaries openly on social media. And I don't know if it's because they feel like everybody feels the same way they do, but
they know that enough people do that they can get away with it.
But then they often act surprised when others react to them with disgust, or if there are consequences. They're shocked by it. But anyway, this case is especially repulsive, given that this is supposedly a man of God, this imam, a man of Allah, if you will. It says a Texas imam invited to pray before Congress, facing backlash on Capitol Hill after celebrating Lindsey Graham's death in a social media post that wished him an eternity in ruins over his support for Israel. Representative Beth Van Dune of Texas plans to introduce a resolution, or she did yesterday, that would formally condemn Omar Suleiman, the president and co-founder of the Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, which is near Dallas. He says, in other news, Lindsey Graham is dead. This is his post. He says, I am with Israel. He puts quotes from Lindsey Graham. He says, quote, I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do, end quote. Another quote, level the place. Another quote, do in Gaza what we did in Tokyo and Berlin. He said, bye, Lindsey.
Whoa.
May you live an eternity in ruins for the ruins you helped create in Gaza. Amen. And so he, and I believe that this guy is from Texas. So Van Dune, who represents the suburban Dallas district where Suleiman lives, said Congress must condemn his incendiary message, pointing to his 2020. What year was this? 2000. Oh, no, this was in 2019. So Democrats had control of the House, and Nancy Pelosi invited him in 2019. Says 2019 opening prayer before the House, which she delivered at Democrats' invitation. She said, this type of action from a religious leader that claims to preach about love and not hate needs to be condemned. That was anything but love. That was depravity. I agree, but you see that kind of depravity on the left all the time. All the time. And especially you see it in Islam when it comes to this particular issue. Like in a lot of sections, and for fundamentalists of that religion, that's what they believe in, killing people and sending them to hell.
Wholeheartedly, that's their thing.
And they celebrate it. Like in Christianity, you don't celebrate people going to hell. Like you want people to turn their lives around before they die. You don't dance on their grave. But this guy, he's one of many leftists that feel this way. There's check this out right here. There's a candidate in Florida who is a former Marine. He's a congressional candidate. I think he's running as a write-in. Declares Trump is the Antichrist and a false Messiah, saying he must be killed in a social media post. Again, this guy is running for Congress as a Democrat, of course. His name is William Upham. William Upham posted a deeply disturbing 6-minute video to his X account. And is it still on his X account? Surely they took it down by now. Nope, still there. Well, it is X. Elon Musk is not going to censor people. But Yeah, it's still up there. Up him for Florida. Dang, he's got 193 followers on Twitter. So he's not. He's just not like he's going to win.
Well, he's on his way to 200.
But yeah. I mean, he's got some attention, whether he wants it or not. But anyway, here's a short clip of that longer 6-minute video where he says that about Trump.
There is no doubt in my mind that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is the Antichrist. He is a false Messiah, and he is your enemy, and he must be killed.
Okay, I guess the CIA is going to come and visit him.
Do you think that shocked the left? Do you think that for Democrats in Congress or Democrats in Florida, do you think they were clutching their pearls over those comments?
No.
Of course not. Of course not. Because deep down,
it's a part of their message.
Yes. And deep down, they feel the same way. And it's become commonplace to try to kill the president anyway, right? It's happening all the time. Constant. I mean, and by the way, we're just removed from the 2-year anniversary of Butler, Pennsylvania. That literally just, what day was it? The 13th? The 13th was marked 2 years from when Trump got shot. And by the way, still no answers for that. Corey Comparator's wife, whose name is Helen Comparator. Remember the firefighter that was tragically killed in the Butler rally. She has come out. She did an interview with News Nation saying that she still wants and deserves answers, as she does, but says she fully believes with the information she has that Butler, Pennsylvania was an inside job to take out Donald Trump. That there were, because you got to remember, Trump wasn't president at this time. That it was an inside job to take Trump out. And while, yes, Thomas Crooks was the only shooter, there were a lot more people involved that allowed that to happen or made that possible. And I can't say I disagree with her. Listen to part of this interview.
Crooks himself remains shrouded in mystery. Authorities still haven't publicly identified a motive for his attempted assassination of President Trump.
You've expressed belief that the gunman, Thomas Crooks, didn't act alone.
I don't believe there was another shooter there, but I believe that he was working with somebody. I believe it was an inside job inside the government somewhere.
And this was political?
Oh, yeah.
Political.
Absolutely. Yep.
Have you seen evidence to that?
Oh, I've been told things, but I've had something that happened with me that just afterwards, and you're starting to put the pieces together, it just made total sense.
What will help give you closure?
When the people who put this all together that day are caught and it comes out.
So if you had a message for President Trump, what would it be?
Just to don't forget us and remember what we went through that day. You know, we're still here and we need answers.
I agree. America needs answers. And for the people that are around Donald Trump, and I'm sure there are, that say to him, hey, this is in the past. You survived it. Don't worry about it. The shooter's dead. I think he needs to brush those people off and demand answers, just as he's doing with the election stuff tonight. Demand answers as to what happened that day. More on that in a minute, but Caroline Leavitt back at work. Is this her first press briefing since she was on maternity leave?
I would say so.
I don't think I've seen one since she's been gone. Now that she's back, let's Let's take a quick peek and see what she has to say.
During the previous administration. This is real progress made possible by the president's pro-growth economic agenda. There is still more work to do, no doubt, which is why President Trump remains laser focused on lowering costs and raising wages for working families across the country. Just last week, Walmart and Sam's Club announced they will be lowering prices on thousands of items in their stores across the country. Shoppers can expect meaningful savings on groceries, household essentials, outdoor living products, toys, apparel, and other everyday staples. As President Trump said, Walmart answered his call and stepped up in a big way, and we commend them for that. We hope other major retailers will follow the lead of this patriotic American company. While we're on the subject of helping working families get ahead, I want to remind everyone that the Trump accounts are now officially live. To date, and this is a new stat from the Council of Economic Advisors this morning, more than 6.5 million American children have been signed up for accounts so far, including my 2 kids, who I signed up during my maternity leave. There are a few things I want to make clear about this massively beneficial program that has the potential to literally transform the financial future of this country. First, any child under the age of 18 is eligible to have a Trump account opened in his or her name. This is a free investment savings account that costs nothing to open. Second, thanks to President Trump, every child born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 will receive a $1,000 seed deposit from the United States Treasury. Third, parents, guardians, relatives, and friends can contribute up to $5,000 per year combined for each child. Employers can also contribute up to $2,500 per year on a tax-favored basis, counting toward the annual cap. The president believes there is no better investment than in America's children. Government projections show that a child whose family maxes out contributions could see the account grow to nearly $300,000 by the time the child turns 18. This is, I think we can all agree, an enormously powerful head start toward the American dream. These funds can be used for college, starting a business, or purchasing a home. This is truly a transformational, nonpartisan program. So I encourage everyone listening with a child to establish a Trump account today for your child, and tell everyone you know with children to do the same. The app is also incredibly inviting and easy to use for parents at home. Finally, let's turn to the border. Brand new numbers this week from the Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection confirm that for the 14th straight month, this administration has released 0 illegal aliens into the United States. Again, let me reiterate, the 14th straight month, not a single illegal criminal alien has been entered into our country, released into our country by this administration. Illegal crossings in June remained at historic lows, and Southwest border apprehensions are down 94% compared to the same period under the Biden administration. These numbers speak for themselves. Thanks to President Trump's strong leadership and unwavering commitment to law enforcement, America has the most secure border we have ever had in our nation's history. The administration continues working to reverse the previous influx of millions of illegal aliens into our country by the Biden administration, and our law enforcement professionals, God bless them, are arresting criminal illegal aliens across the country, including those convicted of the most heinous and violent crimes. This past weekend alone, ICE arrested a Mexican national and gang member convicted of second-degree murder in California, a Dominican national convicted of aggravated manslaughter in New Jersey, a Saudi national convicted of indecent liberties with a child in North Carolina, a Mexican national convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child in California, a Nicaraguan national convicted of second-degree child molestation in Rhode Island, and a Mexican national convicted of lewd acts with a child under 14 with force in California. These are egregious crimes, and again, I think we can all agree that none of you would want these individuals living in your communities, and you have this administration to thank that they are on their way back home. The American people delivered a decisive mandate to arrest and deport these dangerous criminals, and President Trump is wholeheartedly committed to delivering on that mandate every day. He will never waver in his duty to defend our homeland and protect the American people, and he has proven without a shadow of doubt that the chaos and the lawlessness that we saw every single day at the border and across our country under the Biden administration was a choice, and it is a choice this president has chosen not to make. While this work is far from finished, the border is secure, and deportations will continue. With that, I'll take your questions today. I look forward to doing so. I know there's a lot of news. We have two people in our new media seats today, Rachel Bade and Ben Black. Rachel, why don't you kick us off? Ben will give you a question, and then we'll get to the rest of all of you. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Welcome back to the briefing room. Congrats on your baby.
Thank you.
Two questions,
Sure.
if I may. The first one, a fun one for your first day back. You now have two babies under 2 years old.
I do.
As someone who has a 4-year-old, I can only imagine how little you are sleeping right now. What is your one tip or secret to women who want to have it all, the kids and the hard-charging career?
Well, thanks for the question, Rachel, and it is really good to be back with all of you. I don't think there is a secret. You just have to show up every day and keep going, and it really does take a village. Take the opportunity to shout out to my husband, who's home with our babies right now. I look forward to returning home later to be with them, but it's challenging. But for me, I view this as more than a job. I view this as public service on behalf of a president who I firmly believe in everything this administration is doing and really creating a better country for my children and their future, and I'm very grateful for that. Blessed to both be working in this job, but also to have two beautiful babies at home. And as you know, Rachel, and any mom in this room knows, there's nothing better than being a mother. So thanks for the question.
Babies are the best. Okay, a question about tonight. There are a lot of Republicans in this town who very much support the SAVE Act and want to make sure, our elections are upheld, election integrity, top priority for them. But some of them are concerned that tonight's primetime address might focus on, elections of the past, relitigating them rather than voter concerns of today. I'm wondering, can you tell us if the president tonight is going to talk about the economy? You just talked a lot about the economy and what we're seeing there. And what does the White House say to Republicans who are worried that election issues like this could actually turn off swing voters?
Well, a few things. I would encourage everyone to tune in tonight. I've seen a lot of reporting and frankly misreporting about what the president will say. I think the American people will be relieved to hear what they are hearing from the president of the United States and his commitment to transparency and the focus on the integrity of our elections tonight. I think all Republicans and Democrats should recognize this should be a nonpartisan issue. If we don't have safe and secure elections in our country, we cannot have a country. It is a vital part of our democracy, of our constitutional republic. The president will be speaking about that tonight. And in addition, at the very same time, of course, he is working on all of these economic issues that the American people have at home. I just read to you the latest inflation numbers are looking good, the best report in 6 years. The president, Republicans and Democrats and all Americans have this president to thank for the largest tax cuts in American history, which every Democrat on Capitol Hill voted against. You have this president to thank for the Trump accounts for our children and securing the future of the American dream. So this president is doing a lot, but obviously safe and secure elections are a true tenet of our constitutional republic, and the president will be speaking about that tonight.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. And Ben, please.
Hey, so I'm from England.
All right, so I'll go ahead and jump in. They've got two people in the new media seats, which are usually favorable to Trump because they're like independent media podcasters and stuff like that. So you usually like this guy that's asking questions. He's in a white t-shirt and khakis. And I don't like that. I dress like a bum, and I think that's kind of disrespectful. Like, put on a suit, dude. You're at the White House. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on this. More coming up next. 205 545 9950. That is 545 9950. Mandu bringing you this part of the show. Mandu.com. Mandu. Get yourself some Mandu. As I told you yesterday, I said, hey, y'all, today after the show, I'm going to Mandu. And guess what I did? I went to Mandu. Got my Mandu on. And, boy, I was sweating by the time I left. I know it's only 15 minutes, but I literally put everything I had in it in that 15 minutes. And they had me. I was laying on the bench. I had the kettlebell, the heavy one, too. And I was bench pressing with them. I was doing the overhead triceps. I was doing it all, man, getting a real workout. Because I don't want y'all to think that this is not like a real workout. I've even had people say that before on the text line. They're like, well, that's not a real workout. You're not using weights. Well, yeah, you are. You are using weights. You're doing what would be a normal workout, but you're being boosted by these electronic muscle stimulation pads that are inside the suit that you're wearing. So you put the suit on, you do your normal workout, and because you're like getting a double dose of workout, you've only got to do it for 15 minutes. It's really an ingenious idea. And I don't know who came up with it. Somebody super smart. They have kind of figured out the cheat code. That's what Mandu is. Mandu's a workout cheat code. And so I want you guys to try it. You will build muscle quicker than you've ever seen before in your life. You will lose weight, and you'll become more healthy all the way across the board. I'm telling you, I've lived this. This is not, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just like, oh, I'm Mandu, they're paying me, so I'm living Mandu. Like, I love Mandu. And I wouldn't be telling you on that if it wasn't true. But here's what I want you to do. If y'all are in this area around Birmingham, you've got the Homewood Studio, which is where I go. Very easy to find. It's just down the street from the big Regents building in Homewood. It's just down the street. Actually, Alabama Men's Clinic's in that Regents building, but Mandu's right down the street. Call them up at this number. It is 205-438-6003. 438-6003, but you've also got Huntsville and Tuscaloosa. You are able, if you sign up, you're able to go to any of those at any time you want to. But just first, get your free session in. And that's for everybody, man, woman, 18 years old, 80 years old, I don't care who you are. Get a free session just so you know what it's about. Mandu.com, MANDUU.com. Yeah, baby. Y'all hook that up. Caroline Levitt still going. I do want to just see if we get any comments from her. I'm not gonna go long for it because I got a bunch of other stuff that I want to get to before we run out of time. So let's dip back into the White House just for a moment.
Process, and he hopes that Republicans will vote for this important piece of legislation. The budget reconciliation bill not only will address the Save America Act, but also ensure important aid for our farmers and our war fighters, which the president supports as well. Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Welcome back.
Thank you.
On the Kalshi situation, I have just a few questions on that.
Sure.
This individual has been accused of making trades around the president's speeches for months. I mean, this has been going on since at least earlier this year, maybe even before that. Did the White House counsel have any awareness that this was going on with this individual? And if not,
no.
So if no, then why not? Is there any sort of plan in place to try to figure this out, to see if anyone else is doing this, or to track future people from, see if they're making these types of bets in the White House? Any discussions around that?
Look, there are very strict ethical guidelines here at the White House that explicitly state not to do this, and the White House counsel's office makes that clear to all of us who sign up to work in government on behalf of the president. So I think there has been a plan in place. This individual unfortunately violated the plan, and therefore he's paying the consequences for it. I don't know why there's further questions on it.
Follow this, but then doesn't that leave open the possibility, even though there are the rules, I mean, there's no disputing there are strict rules on this, But if there are no mechanisms in place, and then I'm not saying that there are, there should and should not be, but if there are none in place to try to track this happening inside the White House and inside the executive branch of the government, doesn't that leave open a possibility for this to keep happening or happening again, and these result people making bets like this inside the administration?
Again, there are very strict ethical requirements required by all staffers and officials here at the White House, and if they are violated, people will pay consequences for that, as you're seeing with this case. Libby.
Caroline, welcome back.
Thank you.
I have a question about Senator McConnell, but first on Iran. President Trump has now greenlit strikes on Iran for nearly every day this week. Does the White House describe negotiations more at a standstill or essentially completely over?
Well, I've spoken with the president about this as recently as an hour ago. Iran very much continues to talk to the United States of America and express that they want to make a deal with us because they are suffering devastating blows on behalf of our United States military. The reason, and this is important for the American people to understand, the reason for the recent strikes over the course of the last several days is because Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding that we struck with them. Specifically, in the Memorandum of Understanding that they signed, they were not to fire on commercial vessels moving through the Strait of Hormuz. And unfortunately, they have made the tragic decision for them to do that. And President Trump is not going to sit by and allow these active acts of terrorism to take place in the Strait without ensuring Iran pays consequences for that. And that's what we are witnessing right now.
You spoke to him about this within the last hour. I mean, does he essentially seem fed up with these negotiations? And can you explain why the American people should think that a deal with Iran would even be worthwhile at this point, given the fact that they broke it already?
Well, look at how bad they are behaving. It just proves the president's initial point for launching Operation Epic Fury in the first place. Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. That's why he launched Operation Epic Fury. They have suffered devastating blows to their military and their economy as a result. The president is always open and willing to diplomacy. He is the peace through strength president after all. After Operation Epic Fury, the conclusion of it, we did move forward into a diplomatic phase, if you will. But unfortunately, Iran has since violated that. They have expressed they still want to make a deal to the president. We're talking to them. But again, the president is not going to allow them to fire on ships in the Strait without paying a consequence for that. And I think just one more point, I think throughout this entire endeavor, the president has proved not just to Iran, but to the entire world that we can hit Iran anytime, anywhere, any place. And their ability to defend themselves has been essentially wiped out because of this president and Operation Epic Fury in the first place. Sure. Lena, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
2 questions for you. If I can read 2 comments, one made by President Trump and one made by the Vice President on Iran. President Trump recently said, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. There's something wrong with them. They are cuckoo. They are scum, sick people, vicious, violent people. And then Vice President Vance went on Joe Rogan last night, and he said, I'm very frustrated by the Americans and, frankly, by people in other countries who say you cannot negotiate with the Iranians. So your response to these contradictions, because I think you can understand how that's confusing for Americans with this mixed messaging. And then second question for you, at least 6 Americans are still detained in Iran. Will President Trump make this conditional, a point of condition in continuing these conversations with the country, as well as political prisoners, and also people that are still being executed in Iran to this day?
Sure. To your second question, I'll never create a red line or a condition on behalf of the president without his blessing. I haven't heard him say that, but obviously ensuring the return of Americans wrongfully detained or held hostage all over this world remains a priority for him, and he has done so in a tremendous way over the course of the last year and a half. Americans from all over the world have returned home thanks to this president and the efforts of his national security team. To your first question about the comments between the president and the vice president, respectfully, I do think you're taking comments from different times throughout this conflict and kind of asking me if these are contradictory of each other. I can tell you the president, vice president are on the exact same page about where we are right now in this conflict. And the fact that you do see elements of what's remaining in the Iranian regime that are more willing to make a deal, and then other elements who are not so maybe willing to make a deal, shows that Operation Epic Fury was incredibly effective because we neutered their ability to communicate with one another, and they are a fragmented system. They are not the once very strong, powerful terrorist state that they were before this operation, which was one of the ultimate goals. So we'll continue to work through the process, and as I said, the president will hold them accountable when they turn their back on the words that they state to the United States, but he is always open to diplomacy at the very same time.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Regarding the president's speech tonight, he's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says is tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone been charged?
Well, he hasn't revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet, and you will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward appropriately from there.
Tonight from the Justice Department?
I don't speak on behalf of the Justice Department, Caitlin. You know that. Rachel.
By evidence, will there be charges?
You'll have to ask the Justice Department. I don't charge people. I just speak on behalf of the president. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Welcome back. Just a point of clarification really quick. On the staffer who is accused of profiting off of the president's speeches, you said he'll no longer be working here. Is he on administrative leave, or is he going to be fired after October?
He's on unpaid administrative leave right now.
Okay. And just to follow up on the president's speech tonight, I mean, we've been talking to a lot of Republicans over on Capitol Hill. They have said that focusing on the economy is the right way to go ahead of the midterm elections. They believe that's what voters care most about. What does the president say to Republicans who think that focusing on the 2020 election, election integrity, all of these issues right now is not the right approach so close to the election?
Well, again, you guys have not heard the speech yet, so I would digress with the criticism until you actually hear what the president is going to say and what he's going to
see what's happening here. We'll go ahead and dip out of that, but what's happening here is the media has already gotten their marching orders to delegitimize a speech that they don't even know what the speech is going to be. They don't have a transcript. They don't have a title. They've got leaked reports that allegedly say what the speech is going to be about. Now, I think those reports are probably somewhat accurate, but the reason it was leaked was for this very reason. So the media could jump out in front of it and start talking about how it's all just made up BS. Why are you talking about that? And Republicans, we shouldn't be focusing on this. We should be focusing on the economy. Dude, if you don't focus on the fact that your elections are being stolen, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. The economy ain't gonna mean ish if Democrats are allowed to steal elections. Because Democrats have proved what they do to the economy. They're literally running socialist. That's where you talk about the economy. You talk about, hey, stolen elections. If you don't fix it, you get socialist, economy ruined. There, we talked about the economy. It all goes back to that. So why wouldn't you want to talk about the one thing that is going to affect the economy the most? That's it. A stolen elections will affect the economy more than anything else. Because socialists will be running the country. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm not a smart man. Not even that good at math, but that's a pretty simple equation. Pretty easy to figure out. Since we're on the topic of stolen elections, I want to keep going with that. And the things that they did, and by they, I mean the Democrats, I mean the deep state, the CIA, the radical judges, all of them. The things they did, such as try to kill the president to keep him from taking office in 2024. I used to kill this one on Rock Band.
On Rock Band? Sweet.
On the drums.
God, I wish you had video of that.
Yeah, man. I was so good at that game. So good at that game. Yeah. I just found out that Shuli from the Howard Stern Show, is doing a comedy show in Boaz, Alabama, Friday.
Boaz?
Yeah, I don't know the venue, but for those of you that were like old Howard listeners before he touched the third rail of politics and ruined his whole shtick, Shuli was I guess he was one of the producers, but he's doing a show for Comedy Break-In, David Lineham's deal. So he's basically got one of Howard Stern's guys,
wow,
who does stand up to do a show at one of his get-ups.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know the venue and all that kind of stuff, but y'all can go to David Lineham's Facebook page and find out all the information you need. I would go, but I'm freaking out of town.
Where you going?
Friday. I'm going to the in-laws.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be able to go. Boaz is a little bit of a haul, but some of y'all live up there. Y'all go see a good comedy show. Cool. Find David Lineham on Facebook. I was talking about things they were using to try to take Trump out. Another one was the radical judges, E. Jean Carroll in particular. Remember, decades ago, he allegedly sexually assaulted her in a dressing room at, what was it called? Norman Bergstrom's. What was the name?
Nordstrom?
Bergdorf Goodman in the 1990s. No proof, no witnesses, no evidence, just crazy-ass E. Jean Carroll, and she ends up winning. She doesn't win on the merits of that he sexually or raped her. They said, well, there's no proof of that, but we are going to convict him of sexual assault for, touching her vagine. And now the radical leftist judge has forced Donald Trump to pay E. Jean Carroll $5.62 million. She received $5.62 million this week. The radical left judge, Lewis Kaplan, ordered Trump to pay E. Jean Carroll $5 million plus interest after the Supreme Court rejected Trump's bid to toss the sexual abuse case. Judge Kaplan, here's what's interesting about the whole thing. Judge Kaplan mentored E. Jean Carroll's attorney, whose name is Roberta Kaplan. They're not related, but they worked together previously at a law firm and were good buddies. So you had one
conflict of interest. Hello.
You had one a radical judge that already hated Trump, and two, E. Jean Carroll's attorney was good buddies with the judge. So she got a massive payday at the Manhattan court. Carroll previously said rape is sexy and a fantasy when she was on Anderson Cooper. Y'all remember all that. The jury decided that E. Jean Carroll did not prove that Trump raped her. However, the jury said E. Jean Carroll proved Trump sexually abused her when he inserted fingers into her, you know what? Wow. So anyway, that was yet another thing that they used to try to railroad Trump to keep him out of the White House. Also, the raid on the home, the Jack Smith case. Everybody remember that? Jack Smith, if that's your real name, went after Donald Trump and tried to throw him in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Just one of many instances. But he used some pretty shady tactics, and we knew this all along. We were there. And Jack Smith's a nobody. Like, he's a guy that's not, necessarily at the top of the heap for astute prosecutors. But he was put in that position because he was the only one scummy enough, I guess, to take the case. Well, now it comes out that Jack Smith, during this investigation, spied on 44 different members of Congress. 44, and actually read their text messages. And when he was asked about this under oath, he lied about it. So, in the ultimate act of irony, you may see Jack Smith be charged with crimes. This is crazy. Chuck Grassley says, I received records from DOJ confirming Jack Smith's investigative team reviewed the contents of text messages sent by 44 members of Congress. I'm one of the 44. I'm alerting my colleagues who were impacted and will release the records with Senator Johnson and the American people to see the evidence. And Todd Blanche, while he was on Capitol Hill answering questions, he said, we may be investigating and prosecuting Jack Smith. You absolutely should. Listen to some of these members of Congress. We'll come back on the other side, but just let me real quick give you some names that you'll recognize. Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, Josh Hawley, Mike Lee. Who's some others that you'll recognize? Martha McSally, Rand Paul, Rick Scott, Roy Blunt, Susan Collins, Tom Cotton, Tim Scott, Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, Andy Biggs, Elise Stefanik, Lee Zeldin. 44. And the vast majority, Republicans.